You right, chat? Okay, hold on. Let me solve some things. Apparently, the red site is doing something. That's not supposed to happen. Okay, so yesterday I did reschedule a live stream that isn't happening. Hello everyone. How's it going? Happy week. How's it going, everyone? You all alright? Ah, man, it's been a while. They cloned me. I know. There's a clone going on in the fucking red site that shouldn't be there. Anyway, let me sort that out, and we're gonna talk about it. I went to. I know. That's not supposed to be. Hold on. All right, if you're in the purple, you shouldn't be live on the purple site, right? Oh, you can't see the chat in the. Oh yeah, that's weird. Oh yeah, where's the thing gone? Oh yeah, where did the reactions go? Hold on. God, the scuff is all ready. Boom. There it goes. All right, how's it going, everyone? You all right? Let me just cancel the over on the red site real quick. There we go. How are we all doing? I hope everyone's doing all right, as UK is currently in the fucking oven. The UK currently has a heat wave. Oh my fucking god. The heat wave started, right, when I was about to go to a con in London. I don't mod the red channel shouldn't be there. Is it actually on? That's so fucking weird. So yeah, I went to London this weekend to a con. Me and my partner, we both went. And we bought some really cool things. I mean, there's one thing right there. But yeah, so usually every time we go to MCM London, it's usually a bit warm. We usually go cosplaying, but we didn't really want to this year, and fucking hell, thank God we didn't. We just weren't feeling like it. But holy fucking shit, if I would fucking die. It was 32 degrees. 32 fucking degrees, surrounded by like 1,000 people or something like that. However many fucking people go to like MCM. No. I was not envious. Anyone who was in armor or anything like that. No, we absolutely not. We were boiling. We were absolutely boiling, and then we got to go to the underground and everything. Oh my god, I'm gonna talk about it, but first, yeah, I want to talk about what's over there. What's over there? So yeah, when I was going around the little booths and everything at the con, someone just gave me this puppet of me. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. They just sort of handed it to me. I mean, maybe I should, they were very happy when they gave it to me. They started laughing and everything. And when I gave it to me and like I said thank you, they sort of scuttled off. And I suppose you could call it a maniacal laugh, but it's absolutely fine. So yeah, I got a little puppet of me. Do you like it? It's a little guy. Isn't that great? Oh man, I sure hope it doesn't like, oh fucking hell. I sure hope it doesn't like... I sure hope it doesn't start getting possessed or talk or anything.
Wow, you really scuffed that intro.
Yeah, I did.
I kept warning you, it opens its mouth when you're talking.
I know. It's possessed by both of us. It's both of us. Hey, little puppet of me that sounds exactly like my partner.
No, I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
You don't sound anything like him.
I don't. Different. I'm not Canadian. What the fuck? Fire, you've met me!
Partner's volume is low. Alright, let me...
Fire, you've met me! You know I'm not Canadian!
Oh! That makes sense. Yeah, do you want to move the mic a little bit closer to you? Sorry. It's literally just like every time. I literally made this like this morning. I set this up this morning. You've been promoted from possessing my arms to possessing an entirely new doll. How does it feel? Talk while I try and tune everything.
And dolly.
I mean, that's good to know. That's all we need to know. Guys, this is my partner. Be nice. Happy Pride. In a week. We're gonna talk about going to MCM, and this might be a bit of a short stream because it is fucking boiling in this room. It's absolutely boiling in this room. So we're gonna go pretty quickly.
Yeah, every second that the PC is on, the room gets 11 degrees hotter.
It's like fucking Pizzeria Simulator in here.
Yeah.
It just gets fucking so fucking warm in this room. But we're gonna go through it. Pride Month is whatever you want it to be. I mean, yeah. More generally next week, but yeah, now. Pride is now. There's like other prides, aren't there? Like around the year, there's like different kinds of pride. Because, you know. I know June is Pride, and then July is Wrath. That's what Twitter tells me.
That's what Twitter tells you.
Yeah. Europe went from 20 to 36 on a night. I know. It's horrible. It's been absolutely horrible. I mean, like, which month is Gluttony?
When's Lust Month?
What's
wow.
Wow, now.
Wow.
Gluttony is probably... I eat a lot. Christmas. I was thinking I eat a lot of chocolate in Easter. So that's like April, right? So I think maybe then.
March to April.
March to April.
Every year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a bit too floating, isn't it? Yeah, December, I'd say. When's Lust Month, though? What's that month that everyone... You know how, like, there's, like, loads of people born in September because there's that one month where everyone... Not to say too much. Wouldn't that be like November or something?
How long do you think a pregnancy lasts for?
I don't know.
A pregnancy lasts for 9 months on average.
Yeah.
And September is the 9th month of the year. I'm sure you can work it out.
January, like February. Wait, not February. Who the fuck's going out of February? What's going on in February?
Valentine's Day.
I completely forgot. I forgot about Valentine's Day.
So, we have been together for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate Valentine's Day.
We really don't. We really don't. It's far too busy. It's far too busy. Hi, Alito. It's far too busy on Valentine's. Like, everything's
booking
packed.
a reservation for a restaurant we don't even want to go to.
Yeah.
Giving each other shit that we don't want. It's not us.
Mm.
So what we do is we go for a holiday the week before or the week after Valentine's Day, where everything is discounted.
Yeah, exactly.
Because no one has money after Christmas, and no one wants to do it on a week that isn't Valentine's Day week.
Yeah, we go on like a really cheap holiday, and then like while we're recovering, we like look at the calendar. It's like, oh, it's Valentine's Day again.
Yeah, the only time I've ever celebrated Valentine's Day in my entire life was when I was single. I bought myself a fancy dinner, and then I went on my own, alone, to watch The Lost Boys, the 4K restoration in the cinema, and I dressed myself up really nice, real Lost Boys, like closet cosplay, and I went to the cinema on my own.
You gotta have it for yourself, right? You gotta have it for yourself. I think I bought I got you one gift. No, we went out on Valentine's one time and it was an absolute pain. We didn't like it. And
Yeah, we ended up, because we couldn't find anywhere to go, we ended up going to the Slug and Lettuce and it was shit.
Yeah, it took fucking ages to get there. We were like packed into a corner of the room and like the food wasn't great. Yeah, so we didn't do that anymore. And I bought you one present. I bought you a Valentine's present. One Valentine's present. It is the Sonic and AV bouquet. Because like I had to.
You did indeed.
It was a little, oh my god, I could actually show that. A little Kermit hug.
Slug and Lettuce outside of like a big event day, a big like holiday day, is so peak. I love Slug and Lettuce.
It's good for that, yeah.
But if you want to like book it in December, you can't.
Yeah, you just can't.
If you want to have a work do that, good luck. Hope you love celebrating Christmas on like September the 19th.
Yeah, exactly. That's about as much as you're gonna get. So I'm just fine-tuning your lip flaps. Oh my goodness me. Yeah, no, it's anyway, anyway, we went to MCM, didn't we, bestie? We went to MCM. Wasn't that fun?
It was. I really enjoyed it.
Every year we go to MCM in London during the summer.
Every May.
Every May. We try and keep it once a year because holy fuck. Both it's expensive and also like we usually finish it going never again. We went the first time we went together, because I know you went before. First time we went together was I want to say 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2022.
Because it was when it was sponsored by Genshin. And so the passes had like Genshin on them and everything.
Yeah.
It's great. Oh god, it's huge. I was scared to like go. Because I've been to small cons before, but like going to MCM was like, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot of people. I was really hesitant at first, but like...
It's a hugely different vibe to like any smaller cons.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's crazy. But like, so we went and we made every single mistake that you can to like planning your cosplay, getting that sorted. We made every single mistake then, so afterwards we were like, never again.
Which again, I need to stress, I had been several times before. And I had cosplayed all 3 times that I had went before.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't very fun.
No, the first time we went to MCM together, it was miserable. 2 days of abject misery.
Yeah, so we didn't go the next year. I think that was safer for us. I think, like, the way we do it is that, like, we both, like, take stock and we both, like, float the idea towards each other. And, like, if even the thought of not going to, like, an event, whether it be MCM or, like, anything else, if it feels like a weight has lifted from our shoulders by even the thought of not going, then we just don't go. And, like, 23, we're like, do you want to go to MCM this year?
No.
Oh, thank God. Please, no, I don't want to do that again. So yeah, we gave it a bit.
Yeah, we skipped it for a year.
We skipped it for a year, but the year afterwards, we came in.
2023, we didn't go to any conventions.
No,
Not
we didn't.
even, like, local ones.
Yeah. We haven't cosplayed in ages. Oh my god, I saw some Homestuck. I saw the Homestuck cosplay meetup at MCM, and good lord, it was like looking at the next generation. It was like looking down. It was so cute.
Yeah. Oggy wanted to join in and like do photography with them, with her, with our 3DS. And I was like waiting to fill our water bottle up, and then I just see her come back with like her tail between her legs, and she was like, "They're scary.
I'm too old.
They're children. They're
I'm
scary.
too old."
The teenagers scare me."
They do. They sealed their you'll be happy to know the grey face paint was on point. I don't know if they use SNAS anymore. It was on point. It was 32 degrees and it didn't even melt. I don't know how they did that. Hi, Frego. Oh, no. I used to cosplay ages and then like, it wasn't fun for a while. And then we started together. And I think that's kind of the approach that we do, is that we go and we can cosplay only if we know that it'll be fun for ourselves.
Yeah. And the big mistake, one of the big mistakes that we made for the 2022 con that made both of us super miserable was Oggy had a really like professional, really good cosplay that she had been working on for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I put mine together for a character that I did not even like that much and didn't want to cosplay, and I just bought some like bits from Primark to kind of do like a casual version, and I had a meltdown because I was just sad because like we never should have cosplayed from two different things, and especially not two different things that neither of us really wanted to cosplay anymore.
No, I just had the cosplay around because I was going to cosplay it in 2020, but of course that never fucking happened.
Yeah.
I just had it around, so I was like, well, I might as well.
You've been working on it for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And like, so
still never taken it to a con.
You had to take
Useless now.
You had to take it.
Yeah.
But like, we got there, and we were getting dressed that morning, the Saturday morning, and like I just started crying because I didn't want to do it.
It was horrible. No, it was horrible.
Miserable.
It was absolutely miserable. No, we
and
both
like,
had a bad time then.
Is that we then were like, oh, another mistake we made. We got a hotel close to Waterloo, so when we got off the train, we'd just had to like crawl a few inches and then we'd be in bed.
Yeah.
But it meant that we had to go fucking forever to get to the XL.
Oh god, it took fucking forever.
In cosplay.
Yeah, no.
So after I had started crying, I just put on normal clothes and we set out. Oggy was still in said cosplay that she had worked 3 years on.
No, I was out of it. I didn't even wear it then.
No, we got on the tube, and then you started crying.
Oh fuck!
And like
I forgot about that.
Your face paint was like running down in rivulets down your face, so we got off at the next stop and just went back, took everything off, and then came back to the XL again.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
We left the hotel with you in cosplay. We got on a tube, and then we were like, no, we can't do this. We seriously can't do this.
No, I'm not dealing with that. Yeah, so we just went wearing as we were.
Yeah.
It was nice.
It was nice.
It was nice.
We had fun.
Yeah, we just
had
didn't need that.
But we were still so stressed the whole weekend, and like we had so not had fun. So we skipped the next year. Cons in general. All
took
cons,
a breather.
Just got a breather for a month.
Assessed what we actually wanted to get out of cosplay, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like we worked out what exactly we wanted
to get out of cons. What was the reason we were going?
Yeah. Not panels, let me tell you that. As a spoiler. we don't go to panels.
We go to panels occasionally if there's someone we really, really care about. But the thing is, we're not into a lot of like the big stuff. Like I don't care about like making props for the new Star Wars show.
No.
I don't give a shit.
I also feel a little like I could probably get something out of a panel that's like wigs, how to get started. But like, I don't know. There, especially in MCM, you this year proved it more than anything else. You can't do everything in 2 days. Just walking up and down the place doesn't takes fucking ages. You can't do that in 2 days, which we usually do. We usually just do the Saturday and the Sunday. But like just walking up and down the areas takes 2 days. And so we just don't have time for like events and stuff.
Yeah, so it becomes a case of like, what do we really, really, really want to prioritize? What we've gotten into the habit of like the night before, we'll go through the list of all of the meetups and all of the panels and everything, and we'll click to add to calendar everything that even remotely interests us. And then day of, we'll go, okay, these are the 2 things that we actually seriously want to go and see. And everything else, if we're near when it happens, maybe we'll do it.
Yeah.
And usually it doesn't happen.
An artist was at MCM. I know Fern sent me another artist who was there, and I was gonna see them, but
we never found them.
We never found them, actually. I think they were in the part that we didn't manage to get around to.
We were gonna go to the booth and then like message Fern and be like, did you want us to buy you something from here?
I was I didn't know that. That would have been great. Darn. So many. Anyway, our priorities at MCM are supporting artists and trying to find as many pieces of our merch, of our Blorbos as possible. These are like the 2 things that we do. Oh my god, this setup is so scuffed. Your mouth is moving when I talk more than my mouth to me.
Yippee!
Yippee! Oh, that didn't pick up. Oh man. Yeah, MCM's great for artists. The artist alley is always huge, and it's just getting bigger. We literally spend entire days just at the artist alley.
Yeah.
Which you'll find out. You'll find out this stream. So yeah, that was the MCMs before. This MCM, yeah, we didn't go cosplaying, which thank fucking Christ, because like on the Wednesday. It would have been
way too much.
On the Wednesday, I looked at the weather forecast and I just straight up couldn't believe it. I just straight up couldn't believe it. I was like, 30 fucking 2! Because it's usually quite warm, isn't it? We go cosplaying at like 25, right? And it's like usually quite warm. So you know, like we do a round and then we get back to the hotel at like 4 or 5 p.m. and we just like crash because we're just like absolutely sweating already. Like it's already too warm at like 25, right? 32? 32? No, that's not happening. Not happening whatsoever. I'm so glad that we didn't decide on a cosplay. So yeah, we didn't do that. Cosplays just take ages to set up, and we want to do it right. We want to do it right, but comfortable. I don't want to con crunch anymore. Too old for that. No, I've con crunched too many times to know that I just don't want to do that. I crunch at my day job, let alone for a con, you know?
Yeah, shout out to me in 2019.
Yeah.
Hot gluing shit to my floor because I was con crunching my Sally Face cosplay and I didn't even fucking realize that I had just left the hot glue gun on and it just like spilled out and tacked. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like a paint palette or something, just tacked it to my carpet in my fucking rental student accommodation. And then I had to like I saw it drip as it dripped down, and all I could do was react in a way that was like so stupid, but also so I was a student renting. So I grabbed the burning hot glue off the carpet with my fingers before it like sunk into the fibers.
You've never told me about that. Oh god. The thing is, I would have done exactly the fucking same.
Yeah, like I saw it drip and it was like the world went into slow motion, and as I was reaching out, I was like, this is gonna fucking hurt.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Nothing else to do. Yeah, I would have done the fucking same. Can't fucking do that. Yeah. Oh my god, no. I've done my time in the mines. I've spent years, months on like cosplays that took me ages, right up until the last moment. Get to the place and it wasn't worth it, lads. I've made cosplays ready for. This is why I got absolutely delusioned from like disillusioned, sorry, from cosplay, because I spent like ages, like years on a cosplay to get into the cosplay competition that the con had. Went to the place, didn't even let me enter. Didn't let me on the fucking stage. They just said, no, cosplay's not good enough, mate. And I was like, I'm not gonna cosplay for like a while now. That was not fun. That was ages ago. That was like 2017, something like that. Absolutely ages away. But yeah.
Yeah, it was before we met at the very least.
Yeah.
I remember you bitching about it when we were first getting to know each other.
Fucking pain. It was a fucking annoyance. So yeah, we don't do that. We cosplay what we want together.
Yeah.
And help each other out in making them.
Yeah, I do need to stress that cosplay that Augie had spent that much time on had like fully rigged lighting inside the jacket.
Oh, it's
and
everything.
Stuff as
Oh,
well.
it had the fucking works.
Like it had fully programmed LEDs. So like it to get there and be told you didn't put enough work in it, it's not high tech enough to go in the cosplay competition. I personally would have started swinging.
It was horrible. Also, Fabry, don't tell me that was a decade ago. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh my god, the drama was also an absolute pain. That's why I never went to that one That's why I never went to that one again. Just can't be bothered to do that.
Anyway, Pharaoh, you should come and cosplay with us at some point.
Yeah. Come to a local con. They're less stressful. Oh my god. Yeah. When I was gonna win by default. Yeah, they wanted to give everyone a chance. That's what was going on. Yeah, definitely. Oh god, it was so fucking busy. It was so fucking busy in London for me. It was terrible. It was awful. And of course it was 32 degrees and everyone wanted to like get in the shade. So everyone piled into the underground. So the underground was packed, but there's no AC on the underground except for one line. Imagine being some very warm sardines.
Oh, also like the Elizabeth line had issues both days, and that's like one of the main lines that shuttle people to the XL and back again.
So many people were late.
And also, like, obviously the people who like work and live there, that was real shit as well.
God, living in London couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. Anyway, but we survived, and I took some photos, and we bought some things. We had a wow. Yeah. So we did something different today because we're really we spend a lot of money. We spend a lot of money at the con. We spend a lot of money at the con. How much? In the past? You don't want to know. You don't want to know. Like a lot.
Don't ask.
Don't ask. Don't ask.
Don't ask. No, it was actually we kept very closely to a budget this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had planned out, and this year we said we are only going to spend this much. I went a little bit over, but
I went over as well.
I planned my budget to be like a low ball, so I was allowed to go over, and I'm pretty sure Oggy did the same thing as well.
Yeah, I wasn't too over. It wasn't too over.
Yeah,
but
we both were like in the upper end of like, we had like a lower budget and then like an extra £20 buffer, and we both used our £20 buffer.
Yeah, we were comfortably under 100.
Yeah.
Ah! Ah!
Bold.
Why don't you get bald?
Because you didn't program
Yeah, because I didn't set it up like that. I could have done that, actually. That would have been fun. Never
That
mind.
would have been really cute.
I know. Maybe I'll do that for next time. If we ever have if I don't put you in the box and forget about you. No, we'll have you back on. Anyway. Plushies don't go bald. Yeah. I mean, you're not very fluffy. You're kind of felty. I think.
What?
God, I fucking love that. I had to do that so much this morning to stop me from laughing, but it still gets me. Oh my god. Anyway, should we do pictures or should we show the merch first?
What does chat want? Do you want to see what we bought, or do you want to see photos?
Do you want to see photos? Because I took some photos and I took some videos. It might take a while to actually show the videos though. It might be easier to do the merch first actually. Oh, they all want the photos.
They all want the
All right, we'll do the photos. Let me surf the fucking scuff of this stream, and let's get this working. Chat, we have a hand cam and everything. Took an absolute. The setup right now is an absolute pain because I had to get another mic in here and another camera in here. Absolute fucking pain. Yeah, of course I have hands. You've seen them. I've animated them. Hold on. 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 Yeah, I didn't think that would work. Oh, there they are. No, that didn't work. Yay, there you go. There's hands. Of course I have hands. Yeah, there they are. Yeah. If I do there, oh, that's above the top. Wait. Oh god, that's fucked. And then if I move that there, Uggy Puppet, can you vamp? It's okay if you can't vamp. Don't pressure to vamp.
Dull noises.
Oh, can you set up what these photos are actually?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, one of the things that we made our priority for Sunday, the two things that we said we had three things we said we couldn't do. One of them is not very interesting to talk about. It was Oggy going to a portfolio clinic. So that's not like interesting things.
This little fox needs a job.
Fox need job.
Need jobbo.
Fox need jobbo. But the other two things was we wanted to go and see There's a UK dance cover idol like cosplay group that does Uma Musume dance live shows called Speaker Derby, and they had a show called Umazing Live. So we were like, we need to see that. And then about half an hour afterwards on the green was the Uma Musume UK Uma Musu Meet fan meet. So we wanted to go to that as well. So Oggy recorded a lot of the live show on our 3DS, baby,
Yeah.
for those beautiful, beautiful 10 pixels.
So we usually bring our 3DS because
Those juicy street
the
passes.
street passes go hard. The street passes go hard. But I was like, wait, if this is in our bag anyway, I might as well. So, do you want some crunchy ass photos that look like they came straight from 2013? Because they basically did. There they are.
I think these look beautiful.
I'll share some of the videos as well because they're really fucking funny. But yeah, they were so cute. Oh, the cosplays were amazing. The routines are good. I've never seen these before. I've never been to one of these before. And they were so good.
They were amazing. They were really, really good.
So fucking good.
If you have a chance to see them at like a con or a meet or something, you really should, because they're so good. Their routines were great. Like their cosplays were amazing. And everyone seemed to be so lovely. They were out by the performance space for like the rest of the day, getting photos with fans and like people who like Uma Musume, which was really lovely. They all seemed like super sound, and the cosplays were great. And yeah, their like covers of the dances were so good.
It's so good. If you're dancing Uma Musume for a living, hell fucking yeah! I wanted to be. Did I record in 3D? You fucking know I recorded in 3D. And it's the reason why my computer can't load any of the videos. I have to convert them. But yeah, they're in 3D. The photos are in 3D as well. They're so fucking cool. But yeah, I think watching them perform and then going to the meet afterwards made me realize, like, oh yeah, that's a reason to go cosplay again, you know?
Yeah.
That's a reason to go cosplaying.
We were like, oh my god. Yeah, this is exactly what this is like the platonic ideal of what we decided why we wanted to go back to cons and do cosplaying again after that like year away. It was like, oh my god, this is like peak of what we were hoping for.
This is it. Yeah, it was so fun, and like as you can see, there's so many people. There were so many people there. I love this. I love this tree in the background. That it's just like, it could be foam. I'm not sure.
It was a fake Sakura.
It was a fake Sakura, but like that's not really showing it.
You can't even see it.
You can't see it. I think this really gives that feeling of like when I was cosplaying, like pictures kind of look like this. A little bit better. Homestuck cosplayer as well. That's how I felt seeing like the little meet with all the young guns, and I was like, I'm Unk now.
I think that's one of the things that was so nice about the Uma Musume meet is that like I didn't feel like the oldest person there because we absolutely weren't. Everyone was like our age, a little bit younger or a little bit older, so we just felt like in it. Whereas like
In it.
sometimes when we've been cosplaying other things since then, we've like taken photo ops with people who usually have better cosplays of the thing that we're cosplaying than us, and it's like, oh, you're definitely like X amount of years younger than me. I feel a bit self-conscious now.
Yeah, so many of them have like got that shit on, and they're like half our age sometimes.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh no. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy we're doing this. This is great. I love to see it. You don't want to see your like your fandom or your culture die, right? But like, oh baby. Anyway, these are the photos that I took, and like, oh my god, they were so fucking cool. I'll show some of the videos as well. Oh, we get someone's fucking hair. Isn't this great? You want to see old Unc Gyeon's holiday snaps? Gather around. We're looking at the snaps. Oh, isn't this a great one? Oh yeah. Oh, this dance was great. Oh, that was fucking great. Oh, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. Yes, they're all there. Oh no, they were so fucking in character all the time. That was like they did so many routines.
Yeah, they started off with like Uma in USA.
Oh, that's the crowd.
So someone had actually bought a selfie stick so that the Ebayan could come over and do the selfie stick, stealing a selfie stick from the audience and then taking a selfie with it bit.
Yeah.
So that was really lovely.
That's so cute. That was so cute. There's a photo. Oh, yeah, that's a great one. I'm surprised there isn't one of my feet in this, honestly. Oh.
Yeah, it was so bright. We really couldn't see the screen. So, like, some of these photos are going to be, like, completely cutting people's, like, heads off. But, like...
Imagine if they're good.
Imagine if they were good and they had pixels and quality. And imagine that they're 3D.
Imagine they're in 3D as well.
Exactly.
Hold on, I'm trying to find a video. You can't hear that, can you? I'm trying to find a video to show you all that doesn't have me yappering in it. Cause I was like, oh, isn't this fucking great, lad? I didn't sound like that. No, you can't hear that. Vamp while I find a video. Oh, the quality of these videos is so fucking good.
Oh, they're beautiful. I wish I could tell you about what I've been up to other than, like, con stuff, but I literally can't because it's all spoilers.
Yeah, things are in the works, chat.
Things are happening,
Things are happening.
But, like, don't hold me to that, because if it all falls apart, don't be like, so when is this thing that was happening? Because I'll be like, don't worry
about it.
Don't ask me about it. Don't ask me about it. But things are happening. Things are happening.
Hey, chat. Do you want to hear the worst sounding video of your fucking life?
My god.
Do you want to hear the worst sounding video of your life?
What the 3DS
I've had to turn it down.
does. I don't know what the 3DS does. To the point at which, like, it fries the audio and, like, picks up predominantly the bass and then just, like, cranks it to 11. It did not sound like this. There was a completely normal level of bass and it was not even that loud, but it sounds like this is, like, foot shaking.
Yeah, okay.
You will see.
This was a normal, a respectful volume towards the other people at the con. 3DS doesn't think so. It's absolutely maxing out my headphones right now. No audio. Can you hear that?
Have you turned it on?
No, there is. There is. Can you hear that? It's so fucking good. It was so fun. It sounds like you're in a fucking club, like in Berlin. It's so fucking funny.
Like, we have been to, like...
Yeah, it sounds like a Euro dance club.
We have been to, like, hard bass techno nights that sound less bassy and, like, fucked up than this audio does. It did not sound like this in real life.
It's actually sounded pretty good. If anything, it was a bit quiet at times.
Yeah, especially with the mics. I wish they'd have cranked everyone's mic up a little bit for the skip parts.
Oh, this one's so fucking bad. This one's so fucking bad, chat.
And by that we mean the audio is crazy, but everyone's dance is lovely.
Oh, fucking hell! Yeah, there's music in there somewhere. Oh my god. We're gonna look back up. These are the only videos we took, by the way.
I took some on my phone.
Oh, did you? Okay, so we'll know what it actually sounds like. Honestly, it's the most insane fried Uma that you've ever had. Oh my god, it was so fun though. It was so fun. And then we went to the meetup afterwards. I think that's gonna be the next photo. Yeah!
Yeah!
Woo! I was worried about blurring for people's anonymity, but like it's the 3DS camera, you can't see it. Everyone, all the cosplayers and everyone all turned up with their merch and put it in a little pile, and we were directly in sunlight, so it was horrible. It was, oh god, we was directly in the 32 degrees and everyone was cooking.
This was like 3 o'clock as well, so
yeah.
It wasn't like the hottest that it was all day, but it was pretty fucking close.
So fucking hot. It was terrible. And there's everyone! Oh, I think that was probably the best one to go on. It's so fucking like... God, it's so good. No problem, Fabri. Take care. Oh, no, everyone's cosplays were so fun. Everyone was having a lovely chat. We were playing music and everything. I stopped cosplaying because of, like, I wasn't vibing with the culture, and this kind of changed that for me.
Yeah, it felt like the culture of specifically, like, this fan meet, and it was a huge group of people as well.
Yeah.
But, like, everyone was so lovely, and everyone was so talkative, and they kept saying, like, oh, we hope you come to the next one. I hope you cosplay, because we were like, well, we might cosplay for the next one, and everyone was like, you should. Like, they were telling us to, like, join Discords and stuff. It was everyone was so lovely.
Everyone was so nice and
you could tell that they weren't doing it for, like, these weren't cosplayers for, like, TikTok clout, which had been kind of like this trend that had popped up in 2020 when people couldn't go to actual cons, where it kind of became a massive popularity contest. This was like, people were cosplaying because they wanted to spend time with each other.
Yeah.
They wanted to do it because they loved these characters and they loved the franchise so much. And we just wanted to hang out and spend time as Uma Musume fans.
Yeah, exactly. I think the moment of my downfall of cosplaying was when someone was like, you should make a TikTok account and make TikToks.
See you later.
Oh, catch you later. Thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'm gonna cut back. But yeah, I think the moment someone was like, you should go on cosplay social media, and like it's just full of like people like, oh, there's gone again.
Wig
snatched. Yeah, it's just full of people making. I'm gonna get real about the cosplay scene while I'm bald.
When we get back to our hotel.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. Like, I am dying. Yeah, something like that. We do look like that. Thank you. Oh, thank you, no. Way off my shoulders, literally. You know how heavy this ponytail is? But yeah, it was so to go back and to see people, I mean, maybe they do the social media game. I don't fucking care anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm deep in the fucking VTuber of social media trenches as it was. I can't be doing that with cosplay as well, especially because sometimes it can undermine that friend community sense of it, which I felt there. I don't know. We had a little glimpse back into it, but I think we know that we're cosplaying next year.
Yeah, especially seeing the live show really made me want to do like cosplay dance covers again.
Yeah.
Because like that was something that I did as a kid. And no, there aren't any like surviving videos of it. These were all things that I like filmed on like my laptop.
I've asked.
My laptop like webcam, the built-in webcam, the horrible videos, the laptop bricked years ago, and I never posted them anywhere. They were just things that I wanted to do. It was mostly like the bad apple dance and like Love and Joy. This is aging me, by the way. Like, I was doing the Love and Joy dance cover. I was doing, like, G by Girls' Generation. It's that era.
That kind of era. Yeah.
That era.
Yeah. Oh, but it was so fun seeing that again. It was so fun seeing all of that. And, like, yeah. It took me back to when I liked cosplay, and so I want to do that again. For myself. Anyway, no, that was so much fun. Oh, we didn't talk about the fact that anytime we cosplayed in the past, there's never been a meetup. But the time we didn't cosplay this year, there was a meetup for the cosplay that we usually do.
We have cosplayed for the last, like, 2-3 years.
Yeah. There wasn't a meetup then. And then, all of a sudden, on Sunday, everyone's fucking cosplaying it because there's a meetup. Fucking typical. I wouldn't want to be them anyway because, like, that would have been so fucking warm. I was not gonna
cosplay, but, like,
that was gonna be spoiling.
Rude.
Absolutely.
We were carrying that community on our shoulders for, like, the last 2 years of MCM, with people kept running up to us and going, "Oh my god, I can't believe we're seeing you cosplay X franchise. I haven't seen people cosplay that in ages. I wish more people would. Let's get a selfie together." And then now everyone's doing it again.
Everyone's doing it.
We were the trendsetters.
We started that. To go back to it would make us seem washed, I think.
Yeah.
So we couldn't go back to it. You know?
That's why we did it.
Yeah, when you set the trend, you don't go back to, like, the wake that you make, right? Yeah, let's take that as a reason.
No, we are not that shallow and, like, superficial. We were just I didn't want to cosplay because it was hot.
It was 32 degrees. No fucking shot. We would have died.
We would have
fucking died.
Also, we'd cosplayed the same thing for 3 cons straight, so we wanted to do something different, but we didn't want to make it.
We just didn't have time to make it.
We didn't have time to make it, and then I was really poorly for quite a while. And then I got put on new meds, which made me poorlier for a while. So, like, we couldn't have made 2 new cosplays.
That's not 2. And anyway, we look stunning anyway. We look stunning. You look great.
Really good.
You look great.
Oh. I did.
Yeah. Oh, man. Right, we should show the merch that we've got, but first we need a 3-minute break to get some water and to stretch. So let's do that.
Oh, is this that we have to play ads or people will get locked in ad jail?
Yeah, so it doesn't start, like, immediately.
Okay.
All right, chat.
Bye.
We're gonna have a 3-minute break. Get some water, stretch. Please do hydrate if you're in the fucking oven of Britain. Or
anywhere else.
Or anywhere else, to be fair, yeah. And we will see you later. Bye, 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 bye. I'm back. Hey chat, how's it going? Hope you've hydrated. Hope you've had a great time. Oh, we haven't really had a chance to chat. How are we all doing? How's everyone's week going? Have a hand cam. Hey everyone. Oh, can you hear me double? Okay, double onion. Oh, that's probably because of that. Hold on. I'm gonna mute you for a sec. Okay, there you go. Is that fine?
Are you still? Is Ogyon still in Dolgyon?
Dolgyon. Good now?
Dolgyon.
Still kind of double. That's probably gonna happen. Hold on, let me move things around. We're trying to adjust.
Can you mute mine?
Oh, yeah.
And then I can wriggle it.
Hey chat, how's it going? We're trying. There's two mics that aren't really like shotgun or like really precise. They just kind of pick up everything in the room. It's a bit of a noise gate issue.
Now, can everyone hear me all right still now?
Am I doubled now? How is that? I didn't think this would be the problem. Wasn't like that before. That's so weird because nothing's really changed. Still double. Let me try that. And let me try...
Is it because because you turned new settings on so that they could hear the 3DS? Did that maybe muck around with that? Do you
Oh.
turn something off?
Maybe now. Maybe that could work. Does that work? How's that now? Sounds less double, but still double. Ah. Okay, let me move myself around.
Fuck!
Vamp!
Don't have anything nearby to show off. Especially nothing that's gonna not dox us.
Oh, yeah.
Let me find something.
Okay, let's try again now. How about that? We have a hand cam! Hello! Wait, let me mute. Hello! There you go. We have a hand cam. And... How do you like that for continuity, chat? Still double, fucking hell. Is it double now? Like right now? If so, that would be fun. It was the camera! The camera was putting its mic out! That would do it! Ah, we've solved it! We fixed it!
That would
explain everybody! And watch as I try and like fucking get my tracking sorted as well. There you go. How's it going, chat? Is my hand.
Ah, my mic's falling off.
Don't do that. Do you want me to mute you for a bit? How's it going, chat? Did you bring anything to demonstrate, or?
I brought.
Oh.
Everyone say hello.
Hello.
You muted me!
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Everyone say hello.
A demonstration of the hand cam, if you will.
To a demonstration of the hand cam.
Metal Sonic.
Metal Sonic.
Metal Sonic. Hi, Metal Sonic. If these hand cams do well, I think we might demonstrate. I think we might show off some of the merch we've got. We've got a lot of fucking stuff in this house. And
I
I'd love
did
to show
not
off.
buy him at Comic-Con. I bought him at a local toy reselling fair a couple of years ago. I walked up to the booth and I saw him there, and I knew how much he originally retailed for, and I told Oggy how much he originally retailed for, and then I like said, if it's more than like two to 3 pounds over that, I won't buy him. And then he was £5 over that, and I bought him. Because I have very little... I had at the time, very little self-control when it came to this guy because I didn't have any merch of him, and I really, really like him. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. Definitely my favorite Sonic character. He's very meaningful to me.
We're gonna have to show off some of the Metal Sonic stuff we've got, I suppose. We've got a
Probably.
lot of Metal Sonics. We've got a lot of Sonic stuff. I am partial to collecting a few Sonic plushes every now and then, but that's for another stream. We gotta talk about what we picked up. How's life in the oven?
Hot.
Terrible. It sucks.
My work has aircon, and I am so happy, but like it's just our new offices. So I was going around all of my colleagues who are still in the old office, and I was just going, X person isn't in today. If you get too hot, just bring your laptop up. Just say you need to like spend time going over something, like doing a data set with me. Just come in there and sit down. No one's gonna notice if it's just for like an hour.
I'll never know.
I was like stealth advertising to all of my hot colleagues, being like, just pretend you have a meeting with me.
Alrighty. Where do we want to start? Shall I show off some of my stuff? A lot of what we got is artist stuff, and whenever there's artist stuff, I want to shout out the artists as much as possible. Now, you've been so good as to have a card with all the merch, and any that you didn't have a card with, because so many artists didn't realize that all their cards, all their business cards, which has their like names and things to shout out on, they didn't realize how much they'd need for the weekend.
Yeah, one thing I will always stress is I genuinely think if you're tabling at a con, you should get like little paper baggies.
Yeah.
Not to like give a spoiler or anything, this is just a paper bag.
I mean,
you can see there's some
you could show off what it is. You could show off what it is if you want. Yeah, go ahead. Let's get started.
This is one that I got, but like a paper baggie. And then in every paper baggie for every sale, put your fucking business card so the people can follow you and go, I really liked that person. I really like their art. This is Muyo, I think if you pronounce their name. They're very well known on like Twitter, Blue Sky, etc., etc. And I got...
What you got? In the bag. Any second. She's a bit shy.
I got a little rice shower keychain from
From Uma.
Little Uma ricey.
You'll sense a theme with the merch today.
But like, seriously, if you were tabling, make sure that every sale that you think you're going to get, highball that number a little bit. Mm-hmm. And have bags enough for all of them, and then have business cards enough for each bag, and then a like collection to put on the table. Yeah. Because so many people will just have like a collection on their table, and then they'll either give you one loose when you have like when they give you what you bought, which that then goes off loose in your bag, and you never work out what that was. That just someone's store you liked, or was that something you bought?
I'll grab the stack. I'll grab the stack
just to demonstrate how many like business cards we picked up. So some of these might be for other bits that we don't have like definitely the business card for, but we wouldn't know because the stack is huge. The stack.
There's so fucking many of them. We usually if we like the artist's art, but we don't have well, let me get this in the fucking frame here. Here's some fucking streaming going on here. If there's art that we if there's an artist, that's just for a label. If there's arts, if we like their art but we don't like anything that they're selling, or if like heaven forbid they've run out of the thing that we want, we usually just pick up a card anyway. But it leaves us with so many fucking cards. This one's a sticker. But yeah, it leaves us with so fucking many. And yeah, if you have them loose, I've been trying my best to try and find the business card associated with some of the merch that I got. Some of them I don't, and I feel really bad.
Yeah, and like the thing is, especially with the people who just have like a set on their table, or some people come to cons and they don't have a business card at all, and I find that crazy.
Don't do
Because like
that.
if you only have a set on your table, you run out really quickly because people who aren't buying are taking them because they want to follow you when they get home, which means the people who have actually bought something now don't know who they bought it from and will never remember.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll never be able to find you again. So you've gained a sale, but you've lost a follower, which is really sad. And like that's possibly losing you future sales as well, because there are people that I've bought things from cons from, and then I'll follow them on Etsy, and just like every so often, if I'm doing Christmas presents or birthday presents or something, I'll go through my list of follows and just see if they're currently making anything that like Augie likes, or any of my other friends like, or like my mum likes or something, or if they are doing like some non-fandom stuff that like feels like the vibe of one of my friends, especially if they're one of my normie friends. But I can't do that if I don't remember who you are.
Exactly. Some of us just simply want to follow you when you go home. Wait.
When we go home.
Yeah.
When we go home.
Less stalkerish like that. Anyway, anyway, here's another great one. Here's one from me, because you did one. I'll do one from me.
I like this one.
Can you see that? Oh, you're good at this. It's almost like you did.
It's almost like I used to do this. But that would be really funny.
No.
That would be really.
This is the first time you've been on a stream.
I've never.
This is the first time.
I've never streamed before, and I definitely wasn't a hand cam unboxing streamer. What?
Nope, never.
That would be a crazy thing to insinuate.
Anyway, here's Ouroboros. I think they're on the platforms. They have a QR code on the back, which is all good. Here's Ouroboros, and I got a little Krona. From Soul Eater. Oh yeah, put that in there. Scan that shit if you like this art. Because this is so fucking cool. A little Krona. As I said, I usually try and find all the Blorbos that you usually can't find.
Yeah,
so the
and
rarer
we
the Blorbos, the better.
Rarely see Soul Eaters much, and it's so rarely of Krona, and Krona is probably our favorite, like shared.
Lots of Maka, lots of Soul, which is great. I love to see it. See it. If you're a Soul Eater fan, you'll probably get those. But I just found a Krona, which is fucking great. I'm so happy with them. Anyway, check out the artist, please, because their art was actually really cool, and they had a lot of stuff. Hopefully they've got a store as well. That would be really cool. But yeah, do you want to show off something you've got?
Yeah, why not? It's almost like I used to do this. But that would be silly.
You also have a bit more arm range than me, because I'm able to reach around the camera. Oh yeah, put Muha's there. Put Slanet there. I'm trying to assign them to the merch. But yeah, shout out to all of these artists. They were tabling under stupidly warm conditions.
Yeah.
Were really lovely. We usually have a chat with as many as possible. Just because they're so lovely. They're absolutely darlings.
Especially if their booth is like a little bit empty at the time. So we don't feel like we're taking up unwarranted space. We'll stop and have a chat. Especially if we've bought things from the artists before, or like we recognize them from online or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to like have a chat with them, because it can be like, cons can be overwhelming.
Oh,
And
God, yeah.
cons, if you are on your own, can be really lonely. And I imagine if you're on your own and behind a table for 3 days, even lonelier.
You can just sort of lose it because of the crowd of people that just filter by that might not be interested. Like, if you have like any interest, just go up and say, hi, how's the week been? How are you doing? We had so many people who were so nice to us, and we just asked them how their week's been, and they like told us like, wow, Friday was absolutely booming. I think Saturday was so filled with events that not many people turned out. It was so nice to hear that like that. I love hearing about like
Yeah.
artists' experiences there.
Yeah,
As someone
what
who's
it's like the other
Yeah.
side of things.
as someone who's been tabling for a con before, it can suck. It can suck. You just have a horde of people that just sort of fly by, and some of them like their eyes are just glazed over. It's kind of annoying to see, but like it happens, you know. But yeah, no, it's so nice. They were absolutely lovely. Oh, they were lovely as well. You gonna?
Yeah. So the next artist is called Good Louse.
Lots of lice, lots of louses, lots of little guys. Oh hell yeah! And the guys, shout out to them. Again, if any of this art looks good to you, please do. I'll probably be following them as well. I need to go through all these cards and follow them. My mouth is not moving today. There you go.
Now, it's gonna look like I blew a lot of money at this stall. However,
There's a reason.
There's a reason, and it's that I only buy merch of this series in a trio, and Good Louse genuinely had these charms on such a good deal. Like, it was 2 for £16. So it was like under £30 for the 3 of them, which I had seen other charms that were like of this franchise where like £30 wouldn't have even bought me 2 of them. So this was the only. So Eve is like my favorite game ever.
Oh, they look so good. They look so cute. They had so many of different franchises, but like they had all 3 of them at a great quality as well. They color coordinated little chains as well. Shout out to that. Oh,
Yeah.
We've got so many that have just like have those color coordinated or like pattern coordinated ones. I think we've got one here, but I don't know if we're showing it off tonight. But like, yeah. Oh no! Shout out to them. They're absolutely lovely. We had a lovely chat with them as well.
Yeah, we had a lovely chat.
I think when you got them, they were like, "Hey, if you want to check out some more Eebs, if you want to buy more Eeb stuff, go over to that part of the artist alley." I think we did. They were so sweet.
Yeah, I would have gotten more Eve merch, and literally the only reason that I didn't is because as we were going around, because apparently the Friday was so busy, most places, apart from Good Louse, I saw one other stall that had all 3 of them, but to buy all 3 of them was completely out of my price range, as I mentioned. It would have been about 40-ish pounds to get all 3 of them, which was a lot
little bit
for
above
3 charms. A lot of my budget to blow on one stool. But I only buy Ebe merch if it has all 3 of them. When the Ebe and Gary Good Smile stand came out, we did not get that because I felt too upset that it didn't have Mary in it. So we don't have it. The only non-3 Ebe merch that I have is the Nendoroid, because they have only made Ebe. And I thought, if they are going to make just one of them, I am happy with just having Ebe.
Can I have my phone? I need to. I've one here that I think I found the card for. I think I found the card for them. Anyway, carry on. Let me check.
Yeah. So I had to get all three of them if I was going to get something, and that is mostly because I am too deeply emotionally attached to this game that I will get like really heart-wrenchingly upset if I had just bought two. Moyo actually had Ebe and Gary charms, but they didn't have a Mary, so I didn't get them. Like, their Gary charm especially was like a little Catboy Gary, and it was gorgeous, but I didn't get it because I knew that I would be on that train, like, and I would start crying because there wasn't a Mary to match them. I am that emotionally hung up on this game. But also I want to do a Ebe Eater bag insert. So I want to have one of everyone so they can go nicely in the bag.
Yeah.
When I have enough for it.
I don't think they are.
Oh.
I thought they would be.
Oh.
But I can't find out if they are.
I need to drink, so you talk for a bit.
Right. Hey, chat. I'm going to show off something else. So another thing I wanted to get, before we carry on. Oh, no. Here's another one that was an absolute darling, and I got some really cool stuff as well.
Oh, they were great.
They were great. So, can you see that? Squishy Kitty. Thank you. Squishy Kitty does really cool fashion. They do some stickers as well, some art, some clothing, great stuff, kind of up my alley. But what they also do is if they have any clothing lines that like have any deficiencies or they aren't up to snuff, they will cut out.
Or if they're like cropping a t-shirt or a jumper on purpose.
Yeah, they will cut out the any sort of patterns or symbols on it. I've only got two. Did I only get two? I only got two. And they sell them as patches. So there they are, as patches. We got one there, little devil. I love collecting patches. Patches is what I've started collecting this and last year. So I'm a bit of a fiend for them. And you don't see many in tables because they have to be embroidered or like this. They have to be like properly whatever this is onto applique.
I think it's a vinyl transfer.
It's a vinyl transfer. Ones. Okay. Yeah, they have to be transferred properly, so you don't really see many of those. So yeah, they just had a box full of them, and I picked up two. And they were absolutely lovely. We had a great chat with them. We had a great natter.
Yeah, their booth was really like not that busy at the time. It was pretty empty, so we just stayed there and had a really nice chat for like a good 15 minutes.
They were so lovely.
We were having a great time, the three of us together.
They were great. They were great. Can I show off another patch? But this one didn't come with a card.
Yeah.
They didn't come with a card. They didn't come with a card.
That one so much.
I don't know who gave me. I don't know who I got this from. They didn't come with a card. It's so annoying because it's so cute.
And they had.
I think they ran out.
They had other patch designs as well, and they were really cute. Let me see if I maybe took a picture of the booth or something.
Thank you, little rodents. It's just so cute, and it's proper embroidered as well. Oh, maybe Fire, maybe. I think they're just like some cute little rats or mices, but I love them. I think they're so cute, and I think I want to put it on a pair of trousers or something like that. So yeah, but I don't know if they ran out of cards or something like that, because we did buy a few things and they were like, oh, I ran out of cards.
I did not.
I'm so sorry. If I do find out, I will post it on Twitter.
Do you want to open yours and I can go through your photos and see if you took a photo?
Yeah, maybe. Or like I saved a link or something?
Yeah.
I don't think I did.
I don't think you did either.
Was it them? Did I take a photo? Wait.
Oh, no, I think that was a different one.
No, definitely not them. Ah, no, I didn't.
No.
That's such a bummer. Yeah. Please, if you are tabling at a con, if you think, is this too many? Is these
You
too
can
many
never
cards?
have too
No.
many business cards. At the very, like, even if you printed out, even if you ordered like 300 and only 200 get used, you're going to table again in another
You'll
few
table
months
again.
on like next year. So that's just 100 less that you have to buy for next year.
Get them. Get so fucking many. You can't, honestly, you cannot have enough business cards. And I can tell you that just from doing it myself. Right, okay. There's another one that I think who's that one? I'm now like trying to find. Oh no, that's from the charm. Oh, that's your other charm that you got. That's the Ether Eep one you got. I think it was this one. Sorry, I'm like looking at Instagrams of people like that I've taken photos of.
Here, it wasn't an Eve one that I got, it was a Mad Father one.
Oh yeah. I think this was that one. I don't know. It wasn't the one that I was looking for anyway. Did you want to show? You got what else have you got?
So
It's
all
like
of the rest
Christmas.
of the like fan made merch that I got. Oh, I got a sticker. I got a sticker of a
Are you gonna
lizard. I'm gonna show my lizard.
This is just another one where they were so nice to chat to.
We had such a lovely time chatting with this person who was boothing. They had mostly like stickers and patches, I think, but like Oggy wasn't. The patches weren't Oggy's style, but I was like rummaging through their discount stickers, like the B grade stickers. And I fell in love with this little guy who I got for 50p. Because
50p.
we so wanted to buy something
Yeah.
because they were so lovely to talk to. So they're called Merry Kiwi. Here is their QR code. It's also a sticker, which I love.
Class.
And this is my B grade lizard. Say hello to my low poly lizard.
Hi, low poly lizard. It's the only lizard we know. That's just a normal poly lizard around here.
I love him. I love his weird sticky out tongue. I love that because he's a B grade, he's like the sickly green yellow instead of like the bold, brash, like Oggy sweater yellow that Oggy sweater green that he was meant to be. He's like this sickly, like puke green. I love him. 50p, small price to pay for lizard.
A small price to pay for the banana lizard.
Literally, small price to pay for lizard.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
But yeah, all of the rest of the fan-made merch that I got, we had no business cards
And
anything for.
And I am absolutely kicking myself that, well, I mean, it was not my fault. I tried to find one, but I just couldn't find it for this one, which is absolute pain
because we're in love with this charm.
Okay. Charms have gotten so fucking good lately. They've gotten so fucking good. Like, usually it's like the ones that we've got here, but they've been going so crazy with the acrylics. Check this one out, chat. Check. Yeah, Haruhi Suzumiya. You gotta. Really showing our age here. But look at that. It's a little CD. It's the Haruhi Yukai. And it's a little disc that spins. It's so cute. And they had ones of like other like famous anime songs as well.
Yeah, they had like Kiss Kiss Fall in Love.
Oh, I so wanted that one as well. But yeah, when we came, I think they ran out of cards, and it's so annoying because I wanted to shout them out. Oh, it's like a cool fidget spinner. Oh, it just keeps going. Just keeps going, chat.
Yeah, we are both like turbo super fans of Haruhi Suzumiya. So like if we see really cool merch of it, which is very, very rare, it is like an auto buy. But like, so we saw that it was a little CD case and it was like, that's really cute. And then we saw that it was a CD case.
Yo! We needed it. We needed it so bad. We needed it so, so bad. It was so, yeah.
Much spotted neuron activation is literally us at con. It is.
We're so bad for that.
We're so bad.
But I think because we had set ourselves a budget, it meant that we weren't...
We were smart.
Yeah. We weren't like going...
I recognize that character, I have to buy
this.
It was like, I recognize that character, but I want to prioritize X purchases.
Yeah, exactly.
So we prioritized certain things that we definitely wanted.
So those are the charms that we got from the Artist Alley.
And one sticky.
And a few patches. Do we want to show off? Because another thing that we collect a lot whenever we see them are comics, like indie comics.
My biggest word of advice to people tabling at con, especially if you do mostly fandom merch, please make a zine. Or an art book, or like photocopy some of your sketchbooks or something. I want to buy it. We need to start making like proper doujin culture happen in UK cons. I am so for real serious.
So even if it's like for even if it's for a fandom, even if it is like your original ones, if it's your original comic, I feel like there's a bit of a stigma that like, oh, people would only want to buy like the biggest like merch of the biggest anime that's out. And that's true. But like, I want to see your doujins. I want to see your art collections. Like if you have like an art book of your stuff, I wanna get that. But yeah, we love collecting those kinds of things.
Literally one of my favorite purchases I've ever made at a con is literally just like a book bound like just page after page of like photocopies of this one artist's like NSFW sketches, and some of them are like completely half finished. Some of them were like commissioned pieces that they did on like their Patreon, but like, my God, I love it. And I go back to that book all the time and just flick through it for inspiration. Please, if you table at a con, making a zine, even if it is just like photocopying something at the library and then like bounding it with like colored card, and it's just like a bunch of like printouts of your sketches or just all of your art that you've done of like Jujutsu Kaisen, please put it on your table. Please don't think that nobody wants to buy it. Please don't think that it has to be like super professional and like to stand up against like DC Comics level stuff or like Shonen Jump level stuff. People will want to buy it.
The fun little sketches that you make and like post on like Instagram or something like that, collect them all, bind them up into a little A5 or whatever. I'm there, baby. I'm there. And if it's an original comic, like so much better. We love collecting them.
Yeah, and one thing I will always do, even if I don't end up buying the comic because it just doesn't interest us, which is completely fair. Like everyone has different tastes. But like one thing I will always ask, if they have a comic, I will always ask them, can you give me an elevator pitch about what your comic is about? Because some people have just the craziest ideas and you have no idea that that's what they are until they tell you, until you open that book.
Yeah.
And then you think, wow, this is going to be one of the best £12 I've spent in my life.
For real. For real.
But no one's going to know if you don't advertise it to them. No one's going to know if you don't have it on your table.
Honestly,
I
so
want to
for
buy
real.
it.
So we bought 2 of them, right?
2.
2. And, well, happy Pride, because they're all Yuri.
Yeah, I have a very, very, like, laser-focused, specific taste. So they're both toxic, horrible Yuri.
Yeah. We love that around here. We love that. We love stories about that. So
Which one should we talk about first?
this one's so cool, but that one is really cool as well.
Yeah.
But like this one's got a bit of explanation to it.
Yeah, I feel like go with tidal waves first.
All right. Tidal waves. I want to give it as much of an explanation as possible. Rain Lee, tidal waves. I think you can see that there. It's just a little nice little comment. That's all you need. But what the fuck? What the fuck? It's 2. It's 2 stories, chat. So
it's 2 sides of the same relationship breakdown.
So when you reach the middle, you flip it over and then you read it from the back.
To see the other half of the story.
To see the other half of the relationship.
And like a tide, waxing and waning, they are stuck in this toxic loop with each other where you just, like, keep flipping the book over and over and watch them just, like, fall apart inside their head over and over about the same things. Forever.
Absolute fucking comic. Absolute. When the artist described it to us, we were like, "Oh, well, that's immediate. That's
both
we're
of
right
us
in.
like
we're
did
right in.
the like full like gasping, that one like Wojak meme of like pointing backwards and going."
You can't open your mouth in silence. You just have to scream silently.
Ah!
Yeah, you look like that. Yeah, we were like, I'm all in, baby. I'm
Yeah.
all in. I'm all in.
Yeah.
How much? No, not enough.
No, and like that was sold for £12, and I was there like, you could have told me it was £20, and I probably would have bought it.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
They had another
Great stuff.
Rain had another comic as well. Another, I think that one was also Toxic Yuri. And the only reason why I didn't get the other one was because we were on a budget. I wanted to have that money to be able to spend on someone else's booth to get someone else's comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
The next one.
The next one.
This
More Toxic Yuri.
is Her Flesh That Lingers
You got the artist at the bottom.
by Necromantic and Prince Puka, I think it's pronounced.
I think that's how it is, yeah.
It might be Prince Puka. I'm really sorry to them because
Right.
we had great chats with them.
It was great.
Both times we've seen them at cons.
Lovely.
I have got beautiful keyrings from both of these artists before. Necromantic wasn't at MCM this time. It was just Prince. But like I have got beautiful charms from both of them before. We have got gorgeous prints from both of them before.
We might show one of them off if we're feeling so.
So like we had to get
We had to.
their Toxic Yuri. And I can't say much about this other than like
You can't. Don't flick through it. You can't flick.
Yeah,
Be
other than, like,
careful flicking through it.
it's got gorgeous art in it because I haven't read it yet.
It's. I've had a flick through it. It's really heart wrenching, and we can't show it on Twitch.
Yeah.
It's a little bit gory.
But like, look how gorgeous this is. Like, this is the first page, and the first page just opens on
Stunning colors.
funeral.
So fucking good.
But yeah, it's like
It gets beefy. Let me just tell you that.
It's Yuri about a girl like grieving for another girl, and I'm guessing you can tell from the title that goes all sort of wrong.
It goes all sorts of toxic Yuri ways that we absolutely adore. But yeah, their art is amazing. We've got quite a few things from them, and they're absolutely lovely to talk to. We did get one, but I don't.
Yeah, we got one more print from Prince that has been on my Etsy wish list for ages.
Yeah, I just thought, let's just sort of.
Let's be very careful.
You have a bit more arm room, so you could probably maneuver this to be a little bit better.
Like, it's not super explicit, but Twitch would get angry at us. So, we can't show that. Absolutely, can't show that on Twitch.
Can't be doing it that. All right, let's not give them any more justice.
Oggy banned.
No,
this is my legacy.
Oh, they were great. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. I think that's as much as the Artists Alley stuff.
They're sharing a jelly cup, exactly.
Exactly.
The thing is under that little sensor bar, they are just playing on their PS Vitas, except they're not just playing on their PS
directly
Vitas.
Behind the PS Vitas that is the concern, let's say.
Yeah. But they're just playing on their PS Vitas, bro.
They're just playing BL on their PS Vitas.
They're playing slow damage.
Yeah.
And it's not even like a
Peak.
racy scene in slow damage.
Peak. But yeah, that's all the art we got from the Artist Alley that we're showing off. The trading poke, yeah, it's fine.
Exactly.
Nitro Chiral should make like some sort of mascot.
They did have a mascot, but he kind of flopped. So no one really cared about their mascot in the same way people cared about Supersonico. So their mascot kind of like ended up being Alba just by like popularity contest.
Oh my god, there was so much Alba.
There was so much Alba merch.
The Alba art, the Alba merch, the Alba cosplayers. Out in full fucking force.
Yeah, there was actually quite a lot of like slow damage in Togaino no Chi as well.
Yeah.
So like clearly Nitro Chiral is in right now.
Peak's back, baby.
Peak is back in a big way.
Yeah.
And thank God.
Gives me a bit of faith in humanity, not gonna lie. I don't know. Every year I always get worried that like
loud
MCM
sighs in game dev.
Oh my god, I know. Every year I kind of worry that MCM's gonna like put the kibosh on anything that's like art of any fandom that's related to anything sexy, but like that would be 60% of the Artist Alley would be gone.
And then we like walk around the corner and someone's like selling like a Luna body pillow with her tits out, and it's like thank God, thank God. I don't give a shit about Helluva Boss.
I don't care about it, but like
I hope that there is never a day when there isn't tits out body pillows of the Helluva Boss characters.
The moment they are not at MCM is when MCM's dead. That's all I'm saying. Like that's when it's dead. The other time when MCM's dead is when we don't get the merch resellers with the tubs.
Yes. The tubs.
The tubs. All right. So for 10 years now, that we've moved on from the Artist Alley. We're now at the
dealer's hall.
The dealer's hall, where it's all like secondhand merch and stuff like that, right? And there is a table that sells. I just want to let's get some music back on. There is a table that is basically just a row of clear plastic tubs. These clear plastic tubs are like have stickers of like a whole bunch of fandoms, right? There's Uma, there's Yu-Gi-Oh, there's Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia.
Free. Always with an asterisk. These are not free.
Yeah, free. Brackets. These are not free. Haruhi Suzumiya, and it's basically just like any small bit of merch like little acrylics or small
like,
figures.
Yeah, tiny figures.
Mm-hmm.
Keychains, can badges
and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, they have. I think they have a HoloLive box.
Yeah. Basically, all the tiny stuff that you wouldn't just sell that loose really yourself. You would. So they all just go in this little tub. You get a little tray, and you just go through these tubs, and you put the stuff in. Fucking love it because they usually have characters that you don't usually see anywhere else at the con, which is where my favorites are. We got stuff like Chihiro from Danganronpa, who I could literally not find any merch of, and unfortunately in these tubs, I think last year I bought them all.
Yeah, they haven't restocked since last year.
At least not in the Danganronpa one, at least.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. They haven't restocked of Chihiro. Because you cleaned them out last year.
I think I rinsed them of all their Chihiro merch last year, and they did not get any more. But yeah, I, however, did find a little guy at the booth who I absolutely love with. I didn't know that they made these. It's Persona. The white balance, please.
Do you want to put him in my hand?
Yeah.
I can find the sweet spot for you.
I got a little Persona 3 merch. It's Ken and Koromaru. IDK, what's happening? But how dare you make it impossible for me to get Chihiro merch? I'm gonna be honest, if there's Chihiro merch that I don't have, it's mine, baby. It's mine, baby. I have it. I love collecting some Chihiro merch. But yeah, I got Koro-chan and Ken.
And they're all snuggly.
They're all snuggly in a blanket, which I wish I could do if it wasn't 32 fucking degrees.
Yeah, we actually had to we've had to pack away our duvet because we cannot fucking sleep in this heat.
Don't steal my Chihiro merch. I'm taking one of my Chihiro merch that I have to hand.
Yeah, this is how committed Oggy is to the Chihiro grind set, is that there's some literally on the
right next to me, always to hand.
Literally next to.
I think this is by an artist. I wish I could shout them out.
Yeah, this was fan-made merch.
No, it's all mine. I have 2 others, but I can't be bothered to get them out. To hand. I think there's some behind me.
What do you mean you'll have a duvet? Of course we have a duvet.
Our body temperature does not run as hot as you, Fire.
We bought. I am literally cold-blooded. We bought the a fucking biggest ass duvet in the January sales from Dunelm.
Dunelm loaded us.
Loaded.
We got the fucking haul.
It
snuggly bugly haul.
Gorgeous. We needed new pillows and a new duvet because our old duvet had ripped. And we were basically just shoving loose stuffing into a duvet cover. So we had to.
A duvet is the thing that you have on the padded thing that you have on a bed that you go underneath.
Mango, it's like a quilt, but you put it in a cover so it doesn't itself go and get washed. You take the duvet cover off it and you wash that. So a duvet is like a really big, very high tog quilt.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it will be filled with stuffing or down feathers.
Like a thick blanket.
We do not have one with down feathers in it because we are not that rich.
Yeah, we're not bougie like that.
We have one that's filled with plastic stuffing.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Do you want to show them some of the stuff you got?
Yes. So, how How do you sleep with just a thin throw? I'd freeze
Fire-
to death. I'd
no,
freeze to death.
I've stayed over fires. Fire would just like melt. Would just turn like. I'm gonna give you the biggest compliment. Fire runs fucking hot, man. And
It's all that demon juice and
it's all that demon juice, man. It's all that yeah. I'm not surprised. I think anything hotter, and I think it would set fire. I think it would ignite. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, so
What you get?
my favorite Uma Musume, the one that makes my little lesbian heart go all melty inside, is Saiyan Sky.
Yeah, that's your fave.
That's my fave.
That's your fave.
But there was no Saiyan Sky merch
None.
in MCM. Not even in the tables. Well.
Wow.
That's
That's
wow.
a fun little.
Wow.
Wow.
But in the tubs, they had one of my second favorites. My second favorites are like Manhattan Cafe. I really like Rice Shower, obviously. I love Nakayama Festa. But as probably predictable, since I love Saiyan Sky, one of my favorites is also Nishino Flower.
Nishino Flower.
So yeah, I got this lovely can badge of her. And I got the absolute microbe that is this acrylic stand.
The smallest acrylic stand we have. Tiny.
She is so teeny. She's so teeny tiny.
You saw the picture
The microbe.
You saw the picture that I had up before of all the different like pieces of merch of the Uma
of the
Musume.
plushie pile.
That acrylic was there. You just straight up can't see it.
She was in there. She's just like
So small.
She's like 2 pixels. You can see like a couple of pixels of her tail.
Yeah, you can't see shit. The resolution's too small. She's so tiny.
She is so tiny.
So fucking funny. Oh, do you want to show off the last thing and then we'll leave it there?
Yeah. Well, I have another thing.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone go play
Urban Myth Dissolution Center.
Urban Myth Dissolution Center. Because I love this game. I haven't opened this. This is a clear card blind bag thingy. And I think it comes with like gum or something or
like
a
that.
cracker or something in there. I haven't opened it yet because I haven't finished the game yet.
Yeah, you need to finish the game first.
But I adore the game. This is one of my favorite games I've played in years. I love it. It's a like mystery investigation type game, a little bit like Famicom Detective Club type thing.
Yeah.
Little bit Ace Attorney, little bit like Professor Layton-y. So I really recommend it. But like I was so surprised. There was only one table that had merch for this game, and I thought it's basically not heard of at all in this country. So I was like,
you gotta pick that up.
Gobsmacked that they had merch for it.
You gotta pick that up when you can.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was so good. It was like so cheap as well.
Yeah.
And the last thing.
The last thing.
Gonna open it up.
I am gonna open it.
Oh, take care now. It's fragile.
It's fragile.
It's fragile.
So you know how I said that I got 3 pieces of Nishino Flower merch, and technically I got Saiyan Sky merch.
It's a fucking glass.
They had the glass with the both of them on.
It's so fucking cool.
So
It's so sad.
I got my faves, my beloved horse ship, my horse lesbians, and I got them on their joint mug or joint cup thingy. And like, it was a really, really sound
fucking
prize.
steal. A fucking
It was a
steal. I was
steal.
gobsmacked. And we were like, no, it's like made of acrylic or something. Nope, that's glass. That is actual glass.
It's
so cool.
I love it. I was so excited to find that.
We'll be drinking the tears of our haters in there. For
Yeah.
sure. I think that is everything, isn't it? Oh, which has led us very nicely to the end. We've only got 2 minutes left.
Ah.
Wasn't that great?
Congratulations,
Well, here's all the
all of
merch.
us.
Here's all the merch. I will take a screenshot of this and put it out on Twitter because there's some piece of merch that I haven't seen, so I want to put it out there so if any artists see the post can also like tag themselves. It's so fucking good. We loved it. And I think that will be. Oh, thank you. I think that will be it until the next con that we go to. Oh my goodness! Thank you everyone so much for enjoying us. I am gonna raid. Yeah, I'll find someone to raid now. Thank you ever so much for watching us. There's a raid message. Let me find someone to raid. Little possessed plushie of me. Thank you for coming on. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Will we be seeing you again in the future, do you think?
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
maybe we've got something planned next week.
Maybe we've got something planned
Maybe
next
we've got
week.
a little silly thing planned next week. Well,
Who's to say if you'll see me again?
who's to say?
And of course there's like next week, and there's also the spoiler thing that might be happening in the background, the thing that I can't tell you that I'm working on, but if I never do it, don't come for me.
Follow the channel, subscribe on YouTube to like build the spell, to like charge the spell, right? And subscribe to the Twitch to cast, right? Use it. If you got Prime, use it, all right?
Yeah,
Then
and
you'll
we need
make it
to
happen. You'll make it happen more.
We need to boulderfy the plush next time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, shall we?
But yeah, thanks for having me, everyone. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for being here. I mean, you always have to anyway. You're always in the background, so we
I
gotta
am
bring you
literally
in.
like a desk over.
Yeah.
And just playing Uma Musume.
Yeah, so, you know. All right, let's raid Lost, because Lost is absolutely amazing. Let me /raid. /raid. Use the message. Use the raid message. Say hi to Lost. Lost is an absolutely amazing friend of mine playing Overwatch right now. And yeah, thank you ever so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I love you all, and I will see you next week. No other streams this week, but I will see you next week, all right? There we go. You all have a wonderful rest of your day. Please be sure to hydrate. Hop on the Discord if you haven't already. And yeah, I will see y'all later, all right? Bye, 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 bye. Bye, 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 bye.